Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. This is one of our more popular sessions. I'm happy to be presenting on Instagram once again. I'm going to give it maybe a couple seconds here as people filter in from the waiting room, and then we will go ahead and get started. We had many people signed up for today, so I'm sure Zoom is trying to fit you all in, and some of you might be coming in as I'm talking and getting the cutoff version, but don't worry, I haven't covered any topics yet. We're just waiting for people to come in and then I will get us started. All right, we have a jam-packed session here today. So I'm going to get started with my introductions, and then hopefully anyone coming in just a teeny bit late is just missing the introductions because there is so much to talk about in the world of Instagram, and there is a ton to be said depending on, any level that you're at. Some of you might be coming in with no Instagram experience. Some of you might have some. We're going to start from the bare bones. So really go all the way through what is Instagram? Should you even be on it? Is it the right thing for your business? And then how to make that account. And then of course, making a business account. So we'll go through it all. So like I said earlier, happy Wednesday. Welcome everyone to Instagram Basics for Entrepreneurs. Certainly one of the more popular social media channels and a great way to promote your business. For those of you that are new to the SBDC, welcome. I do see some returning faces, so we're happy to have you on another session. In case this is your first time interacting with us, the Small Business Development Center is part of a nationally accredited network of SBDCs. So there's actually over 1,000 small business development centers in the United States. There are 16 of them in Pennsylvania. So we are just one of 16. We are located in Philadelphia at Temple University, but there are centers up in Scranton, down by Widener, Duquesne, Pittsburgh, wherever you are. We are very happy to have you online with us today. And as a reminder, we are happy to provide this to you on behalf of our funders, the Small Business Administration, the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development, and of course, our host, Temple University. So who am I and why am I the one talking to you about Instagram? My name is Sarah Mailloux, and I am our Digital Transformation Program Manager here at Temple Small Business Development Center. So I lead all of our marketing programming. If you've been on our webinars, you might have seen me presenting in other sessions. If you've been on my session that I taught last week, getting ready for social media, let me know in the chat. I'd love to know if you just saw me last week and are taking the next step here. That's great. Or you might have seen me in a moderation role, but I do a lot of the behind the scenes as well. So I talk about how we take client consideration into account for what webinars we put on. When we put them on, I'm the one who reviews all of that and makes sure we actually put these high quality programming on for you. Prior to working at Temple, I worked at the Delaware SBDC. So I have a lot of SBDC experience to go around. I have some wealth management and business reporting experience, as well as some technical certifications in ideation and international business. But as you can probably guess, I have a ton of experience in digital marketing and e-commerce. Not only do I do that for myself in my role here, but I've worked as a solopreneur for multiple nonprofits. I work at a couple different universities doing instructional design. So I really do try to put my best foot forward in terms of providing you high quality content in a way that is manageable and gives you some unique calls to action so you can actually take that next step forward. So I encourage you, if you have questions about our programming or next steps for you in your digital marketing journey, you are always more than welcome to reach out to me for next steps. So like I said earlier, this is the agenda for today. We start with the basics because I realize that everyone is at a different level when it comes to social media. So we're going to do an introduction to Instagram, its benefits. How do you get started on Instagram? If you've never even made an account before, we're going to talk about that. How to use it for your Instagram, how to do marketing on Instagram correctly, because just having an account doesn't mean you're doing enough to actually get people to your account. And then what those next steps are going to be for you. So really quickly, I do have a poll question. I love to ask these just to kind of see who's in the room. We're going to ask, have you ever used Instagram before? Just to kind of set the stage today. So I asked 3 questions here. I said, have you used it? Yes, no, and kind of, but not really. If you're in that kind of space, maybe you've made an account, but you don't really post anything, or you've at least looked at it or seen what it looks like. So thank you all for participating. It looks like about 60% of the people in the room have used Instagram before, but 40% of you said no or kind of. So definitely looking at, probably the spread I had assumed we would have, where some of you might say, okay, this information at the beginning I've heard about a little before, but knowing that not everyone in the room has had that experience with Instagram. And I'll share those results so you can all take a look at what that looked like. All right, and then I did have one other question. I think I'm going to take that one a little bit later as we move forward. But let's just dive right in right now. So what is Instagram? Many of you said you've used it before, so hopefully you know a little bit about it. But before we even start talking about Instagram, I want us to take a quick note about where Instagram falls. So it's one of many types of social media. And any of you that were in my class last week know we talked at length about what social media is. You might think that's a bit of a redundant question or a very obvious question, but many people are utilizing social media without thinking about the effects that it might have on their business or what it was even meant for to begin with. So it is all computer-based technology. Social media is entirely online. You're either accessing it on your laptop, on your tablet, on your phone. And it allows you to share information, share ideas, build virtual networks and communities. It was actually created specifically for people to reconnect on personal and professional levels, and really grew to find room for businesses as well. But all of the content on social media is user generated. So that is very unique compared to newspapers or radio, where some of the content is actually created by that, larger organization. Everything that you see is based on personalized profiles, and you're actually seeing people interact with you and you interact with others with stuff that you're making up. So it's very cool from that connection perspective. And there are over 3 billion users worldwide. So Instagram is just one of many different ways that you can find people. And that's really the point of the slide, is that you don't want to be on Instagram and just think, okay, well, if I have an account up there, people will find me and they'll buy my products. The real point of social media, Instagram or otherwise, is to create those networks. You are trying to create relationships with your consumers by showing up where they show up and sharing information that they are interested in, so they will engage with you. So keep that in mind as we move forward. So what is Instagram, right? For those of you that said you've never used it before, this is a great intro for you. It is one of these multiple social media platforms, but what's very unique about it compared to maybe a Facebook or a Twitter is that it is entirely photo and video based, and it's almost entirely via a mobile app. So for people that use their phones a lot, Instagram is a great way to reach them because it is an app that is downloaded to your phone. You can search people's Instagram profiles on the web. You won't be able to do anything more than just look at the photos, though. You can't interact, you can't make posts yourself, you can't comment. So it's really meant to be a mobile platform. Looking at it online is just a static. So it's definitely something that you will think about when you're thinking about your own marketing strategy is, do I have the phone savvy for this? Do I want to put this on my phone? What it allows you to do is publish your visual content and interact with others. So you can like, you can comment, you can share information. And what's really great is that visual content is very, very popular right now. If you are someone who is also on the Facebook, the Twitter, the LinkedIns of the world, you'll notice that I've said before, even if you're on those other platforms where people are making posts with just words in them, posts that have photo or video perform so much better. So it is a great place to be right now. A picture is worth 1,000 words. A video is worth more than 1,000. I mean, there is so much going on in the space, and that's the kind of content that people are drawn to right now. When you look at social media marketing, you have less than 5 seconds to gain someone's interest. So being able to have something really catchy, either to their eye or when they're listening, is super important. So many of you might have heard a very popular phrase among millennials and Gen Z, do it for the gram. Basically means do something so we can take a picture and post it on Instagram. So people are certainly sharing their personal lives on here, and you can share your business life on here as well. It's pretty phenomenal when it comes to promoting a business and also seeing what your competition is doing. And we'll talk about those a little bit later. What's also interesting about Instagram is you don't have to interact in the same way as everyone else on this platform. So certainly you can make just a post on your Instagram profile, which we'll talk about, but they also have things like Instagram Live, IGTV. You can make Instagram stories, Insta Reels. If you're looking at me right now and thinking, what are all of those things she is talking about? Do not worry, we will discuss what all of these tools are, and you don't necessarily need to use every single one of these tools. One of the cool things about Instagram is you can kind of pick and choose where you want to dedicate your time on this platform. So, just so you know, who else is on Instagram? Why would you want to be on Instagram, right? As a small business, you need to consider, are the people I want to sell my product to in this space? Otherwise, it might not make sense for you to put all of this time and effort into a program where you're not going to find the people that you're trying to find. But there's a pretty good chance you will find someone on Instagram that is interested in your product. They have over 1 billion active users, and 33% of the most viewed Instagram stories, which is one of the different types of posts you can make, are from businesses. 80% of accounts on Instagram do follow a business account on Instagram. And there are over 25 million businesses in this platform. So certainly people are here. They are here and purposefully looking for businesses. So it's a really great place to be because people, you can see statistically, are following businesses on Instagram and they're interested in that. What about your demographics? So I always ask you to consider before you do any social media or any paid marketing is think about who you're trying to reach. Who is your target market? If you're trying to reach males versus female, younger or older, people in a rural area versus an urban area, what kind of income level are you trying to engage with? When you look at Instagram and whether it's right for you or not, we could take a look at some of these statistics. So it does skew a little bit towards female. There are 43% of females in the United States that use Instagram versus 31% male. So certainly you can find both on here, but it does skew a tiny bit towards females. You can look at the age, and this is one where it's very unique. You are definitely looking at younger generations here. 29-year-olds and younger are definitely going to be on Instagram more than the older generations. Not to say you won't find the occasional, 40 or 50-year-old mom on here as well, mom or dad. There's the 30 to 49-year-old age range as well. And as millennials get older, they're still using Instagram. So for those of you that didn't know, the millennial age range right now is, I think, 25 to 35 or something similar, maybe 23 to 35. So we're looking at people who are adults, who have children, who are continuing to use these platforms that they used when they were in college or in high school. So we'll see that continue to rise. But when you get to the 50 and older, and it's certainly 65 and older, there's not as many people on Instagram. When we look at the location, if you're someone in Philadelphia or Pittsburgh, it's good to know that 46% of people in the urban areas are on here, 35% suburban. Rural, it's a bit smaller, only about 20%. So if you're someone who's in central PA or in one of those smaller towns, Instagram, it might be a bit hard to find people that are able to connect with you. Not saying you shouldn't try, just you want to be aware. The income spread is pretty even. So whether you're looking at someone who's got a little less income, someone in a medium income range, or someone with 75,000 income plus, most people are on Instagram regardless. So I wouldn't look at that statistic too heavily. And I would say the same for education. You do see it skew slightly higher towards people with a college education, but certainly this is fairly even, depending on what you're looking at. They're probably on here because everyone loves sharing pictures. And another thing I just want to talk about really briefly is looking at it at the international scape as well. So you might be thinking, I don't want to go international, or I'm not really ready for that yet. But it's just good to know where people are in the world, because certainly a ton of people in Brazil and India are using Instagram. So that might be an interesting market if you were going to develop a whole profile on Instagram. But United States leads the pack. Over 140 million people that use Instagram are in the United States alone. So it's a good place to be to use Instagram. What are some benefits for you? So now that you know who's on there, why would you want to spend your time? Even if you're not spending money, you still have to spend time to create a profile, to make a post, to find followers. What are the benefits for you as a business owner besides finding your target market on there? Well, the good news is, like we said, there are a ton of businesses using Instagram. And actually, when you poll individuals and personal accounts, you'll find that 60% of people say they discover a new product on Instagram, and 200 million plus people on Instagram visit at least one business profile a day. And like we talked about earlier, about a third of the most viewed stories are from businesses, right? We talked about that statistic on the previous slide. So certainly it's a good place to be. People want that kind of engagement. One other thing I'm just going to plug really quickly here is that there's an 80% increase in time spent watching video when it's on Instagram. So I just talked a little bit earlier about how important video marketing is, and we'll touch on that again later. Remember that if you're on Instagram, if you have any way to create some video content, there's a huge boost in your Instagram's engagement and that video's content engagement as well. On the right, I have my top 5 favorite reasons to use Instagram. It's really easy to showcase products. Like I said, a picture is worth 1,000 words. People want to be able to see what they're buying or what your service is or get an example of what that is. So easy to showcase a product on a platform that is specifically for pictures. You can reuse your marketing content. So if you're making marketing for other platforms or for your website or even for print, you might be making graphics or something like that. Really easy to put it on Instagram because Instagram is solely meant for those pictures. Instagram is known, and it's very, very well known, especially compared to other platforms, for its user-generated content. So if you make a post and people comment, that's one thing. But if you have a store or you have an Etsy shop, for example, and people buy your product and they put a picture of that on their Instagram, that is free marketing. User-generated content is free marketing for you. And if you have an Instagram account that they can tag when they buy your product and say, look at this beautiful cupcake I just bought from Sarah's Cupcakes, and then tag it at your location, that's free marketing for you. So definitely from that perspective, people want to share. People are on Instagram sharing every aspect of their life, and you can get them to engage and promote you for free in that way. The traffic is engaged. So one of the biggest caveats with some of the profiles like Facebook or LinkedIn is that you don't really know how engaged all of the traffic is, because people are on Instagram daily and they're looking at business profiles daily. You know that this is a group of people that is highly engaged, and the people that follow you will be sharing your content. So it's really good from that perspective. You know the people following you are really taking value in what you're putting out there. And like we talked about earlier, you can reach multiple generations here. So certainly anyone in the younger generations, but like I said, don't discount the millennials having their families. People are growing older and they're still using Instagram. There's a ton of people on Instagram that you can reach. And just lastly, if you were going to choose one, because we get this question all the time, well, I don't have the time to make all social media, so is there one that I should start with? Love that question. It's a very valid question. If you're trying to figure out for yourself, every situation is going to be different. I'm not going to make a blanket statement. But if you want to choose Instagram over the others, one thing that might sway your decision is being able to measure the time on the site from traffic. So like we talked about, Instagram has the most engaged traffic, and you can see that here. Instagram has more traffic on its site than any other social media platform, with YouTube just a little bit behind it. So certainly in terms of getting the most bang for your buck when you have these followers and you're trying to engage with them, I would consider Instagram from that perspective. So you can take a look at that. What's cool is there are multiple ways to be on Instagram. So as many of you might know, you can make a personal account. If any of you have been on Facebook, you've noticed that you can make a Facebook, personal account. LinkedIn, Twitter, they all kind of do the same thing. But you can also make a business account. So have a separate account that's just for your business. And something new that Instagram has just done within the last year, this is just, 2021, they just started this, is you can make an Instagram shop. And that is also very cool. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. But with a business account, some of you might have a business account, some of you might not. And at this point, I would love to ask my second poll question, which was, do you have a business Instagram account for your business? I'd just love to see if you guys could let me know where we're at with the audience. Because with a business account, you can get real-time metrics. On a personal account, you don't necessarily get those same metrics. You can see insights into who your followers are, how they're interacting with your posts. You can add information to help people reach you, like your company's business hours, your location. And it's really easy to convert to a business account if you don't already have one. So I'm looking at the spread. I would say we're about 50-50 right now. 50% of you have a business account, 50% of you do not. And maybe five of you said, I'm using my personal account to promote my business. So for those of you that are using your personal account, not saying you should stop doing that, but if you were considering maybe adding a business account as well, certainly take a look at this slide because it kind of goes over some of those pros. There's only so much you can do with just a personal account. You can't find the analytics to really track down your target market. You can't necessarily add some of that other information to help them find you or find your products or go to your website or whatever you're trying to get them to do after they leave Instagram. So I'll just show everyone that spread there in case you were curious. So yeah, I mean, as I was talking, we had a couple more people go in there with the no's. So that's really good to talk about because we will be going over how you make an Instagram business account today. All right, and I'm just taking a look at the Q&A in the chat really quickly. Someone said, can you have a personal account and also a separate business account? Yep, I hope I just answered that one, Lenore. Definitely, 100%. We're going to talk about that. And let me see what this other question is. If you're just starting out, should you have an integrated personal and business account? So one thing I will say is if you've never made an Instagram business account or a Facebook business account, they're basically pretty much the same, which is where they have to be connected. You can't just make a business account without it being connected to your personal account. But you probably want to make both, even if you're starting out. What they normally recommend is if you're someone who's in that beginning stage and you haven't even started marketing your business yet, that you should make your social media accounts about 3 months prior to quote unquote launching your business, because you want to be able to start creating that traction wheel long before there are actually any customers coming to you. So yes, I would say even at the beginning, certainly use your personal account and tell people, hey, I'm starting a business, follow my business account though. Like you want people to really come to your business account. Even if you're an established business and let's say you've been in business for 5 years and you have a personal account, feel free to, share pictures of your products and stuff, but the call to action should always be to have people following you with your business account because you can just do so much more on there. And we'll talk about that as we go through the presentation. Those were both really good questions. So that's basically what Instagram is about, right? You can have a personal account, you can make that business account. Now you can even make an Instacart. You can make people shop on there. I mean, it's a whole new level of things that you can do. And now you kind of know who's on Instagram, why you might want to be on Instagram. We're going to talk about how you actually get started here, right? That's the most important part is I want you to come away from this being able to actually either make your account for those of you that said you've never been on here, or make that business account for those of you that have not made a business account, and then take that next step to actually market yourself and make Instagram work for you. Last caveat, I know, but I always like to put this in here as like a little surprise, is Instagram right for you? So you might have noticed my previous slide said, how to get started. The first step I would say when you're getting started is figuring out if it's the right fit, because like I said earlier, not everyone needs to be on Instagram necessarily. Some of it you might find that taking pictures and videos of your service or your product isn't a good fit for your industry, or the demographics that you're trying to reach are not on there. So I do just want to remind everyone one last time to consider, is Instagram the right fit? And this is one last chart I like to show, which is Instagram adoption by brand. And certainly if you're in the automotive industry, food industry, drinks, clothing, retail, jewelry, almost everybody is using Instagram in that space. So definitely those industries should consider this space. Everyone else in your industry is probably doing it. But you'll notice as we get farther down, if you're someone in wealth management or, oil or petroleum or technology, not as many people are on there. Certainly there are some, not as many in your industry. So think about what the best fit is for you before you actually go and make an account. But let's talk about how you sign up for Instagram. So like I said, it is a primarily mobile app. So you're going to have to sign up on your app. You can also do it on your desktop if you want, but then like I said, you really get that limited functionality after the fact. You can basically make the account and then you can't do anything else with it until you download the app. So you can always go to either the Google Play Store if you have an Android, or the App Store if you have an iPhone, and just search for the Instagram app. Once you open it, it'll show exactly what I have here on the right-hand side of my screen. It'll say, sign up to see your photos and your friends. You can either just create a separate account or link it with your Facebook. Most of the time, I would recommend logging in with your Facebook, and here is why. Because you probably, I know this is an Instagram webinar, but you probably also want to make a Facebook business account, and you may or may not want to, that'll be your choice. But one thing I will tell you that might influence where you're going with your decision is Facebook owns Instagram, right? So they have a lot of things that let you do them in tandem. So instead of making a post on Facebook and then making a post on Instagram, you can actually utilize something called Facebook Business Suite and post to both at the same time to see both of their analytics at the same time. So it's probably worthwhile to connect them. But if that is overwhelming to you right now, or you're like, I really just want to focus on Instagram, I don't want to touch Facebook yet, you don't have to. You can just put your mobile number in, your name, and what you want your username to be, and then click next. And then you don't have to be connected to your Facebook. Once you've set that up, you'll just click done. Some people ask me, can I have multiple Instagram accounts? Yep, you can have up to 5. One thing I will say is you'll need different email addresses. So you can't link an Instagram to, more than one Instagram to the same email address. So if you had 5 separate email addresses, sure, make 5 different accounts. When you make a business Instagram account, I don't recommend making a separate Instagram account, and we'll talk about that why in a second, because you can create a business account off of your personal without going in and doing this login information again. You certainly do not need to do that. If you are really, really trying to keep everything separate, talk to me and we can walk through the pros and cons. But when I'm talking about multiple Instagram accounts right now on this page, I'm really just talking about, let's take it from the bare bones, multiple personal accounts. If you wanted one for your Yahoo email and one for your Gmail and everything like that, up to you, but you do have to know you're limited to 5. And one thing I would make sure you double check on is your username. So this is looking at it from the right at the get-go, right? Signing up for Instagram for you as a person. What do you want your username to be? You can always change your username, so don't feel like you're locked in. But that's the first step. So I'm gonna check the Q&A right now before we move on to the next step here. Let's see. Can you connect Instagram to your Facebook business page? I think mine is connected with my personal Facebook. Yes, you should have it connected to your Facebook business page. But Facebook is very similar to Instagram, and you'll see what I mean in a second, where you have to make a personal account before you can make that business account, okay? So I'm going to talk about that a little bit more in a second. And then let's see, someone said to clarify, if we do not have a personal or business account, we should start both accounts. You should start both accounts, but if you don't want to post on your personal, do not feel like you have to. But as I'm going to talk about as we go through, you have to make the personal first. That's just the way Instagram makes it. I don't make the rules, they make the rules. So we're going to talk about this as we go through. I saw a lot of great questions in the Q&A. I think we're going to answer a lot of them, or they'll make more sense after I keep going. So we're going to move on for now, and hopefully it'll clarify for some of you what's going on. So you can, and I just want to note one thing in the chat. Someone said, I was able to create my Instagram business without a personal account. You might just want to go, so if you really wanted to, like I said, you could go in here on this login page and use your business email and make a full name, username, password. But I do worry, who put that in the chat? I do worry that it's not actually a business account. It might just be a personal account that you're using for your business. There is a difference. So I'm going to keep going, and then hopefully we can connect on that in the end and make sure everyone's on the same page. But for this purpose only, you're going to start out with making an Instagram, and when you automatically start out, it is a personal account. If you want it to be business, we'll talk about that in the next step, okay? So first and foremost, making just account, sign up, make a username for yourself, and we're in. All right, I don't want to confuse anyone. I want sure we're on the same page. So how do you now use your Instagram? This is the same regardless of personal or business, but right now we're starting off with the basics. It's just you using it as a personal user. Your business account can do all the same things. But these are all the buttons you have. So when you actually have an Instagram, this is what it looks like. For those of you that said you have never used it, it has a ton of options and it can be super overwhelming because they have all of these buttons. But essentially, if you have some followers, you might see something in what's called your news feed. So if any of you have used Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn, the news feed is basically where all of your people that you follow, all the posts show up. So here's a sample from an Instagram, right? Someone made an Instagram post and they put a status underneath it, and you can see all of their friends that liked it. What are all these other buttons though? You might be asking. So I'm going to start with the top buttons. The first is this camera. So another thing I should tell everyone is if you haven't used Instagram in the last year, this will look very different. Instagram completely changed the configuration of all their buttons back in January of 2021 to add Instagram Reels. Yes, so they really went through a lot of effort to move things around. So this is the new setup. But with this plus button, that's how you can add photos, add posts, add videos. So that's if you wanted to make any content, you would click the plus. The heart just shows your activity. So this would show you how many people liked your posts and how many people have liked your recommendations and things like that. So the heart is showing you who has liked your posts. This is really the big one. This is how you make anything happen. And the chat bubble allows you to chat with people. And like I said, Facebook owns Instagram. So if you guys use Facebook Messenger, this might look pretty similar, right? It's the same chat bubble icon so that you can actually message people within Instagram as well. The bottom buttons. So far, you know how to make a post. You can chat with people and see what people have liked. The bottom shows a house. That's your home page. So if you ever want to go back to your quote unquote news feed, you can always click home. It'll bring you there. This search button allows you to look up other people's accounts, look up profiles, look up content. We're going to talk about hashtags. It'll let you look up hashtags. This new button that looks like a video kind of with a play in the middle is for Reels, which we'll talk about in a second. But like I said, Instagram completely moved everything around so they could add the Reel button. This used to be where the make a post button was. They moved it all the way to the top so they could focus on Reels. And they also added the little shopping bag for the cart because now you can buy things on Instagram. They did some pretty crazy stuff. Now you can do the Instagram cart. And then the last circle here is going to look like whatever you make your profile photo. So this is your photo. And if you click on it, it shows you your profile. That's where you can edit settings and all of that fun stuff. So this at the top is what we're going to talk about in a second, which is Instagram stories. You can look at people's little stories, and this is your newsfeed with the posts. But now you at least can reference what these buttons do. So you can link your account to other social media, like Facebook, like I said. So you could have done that when you signed in. You might want to link it to other things. Why would you want to do that? Well, if you link something to Instagram, then every time you post on Instagram, you can have it also post to these other profiles. So, I just talked about how you make a post. You'll make that you'll click the plus sign and make whatever content you want. You can link it to Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, etc. There's a ton of different options here. And to do so, here's the really basic instructions. So you'd go to your profile, like I said, that little picture in the right-hand corner at the bottom that you put, that's your profile picture. You click on it, go to the top where it says settings. Go to the top where it has the 3 lines, and then go to settings, and then look at all the different accounts. And I can walk you through that if you have questions, but that's pretty much a step-by-step instruction for how you can do that. And then you just have to add the login information. Many people do link to Facebook. Some do Twitter, the rest are a little bit more ambiguous, but like I said, there's a lot of value in connecting Facebook and Instagram. So you might be saying, okay, Sarah, you told me I can make a post. There's a ton of different posts. I know there are because you mentioned them at the beginning. What are they and how do I do that? So like I said, regardless of if you're using a personal or a business account, we're going to focus on, like I said, thinking we're just a personal right now, but it works for both. These are the different posting options, right? You can do a newsfeed post, an Insta story, something called highlights. There's Reels, IGTV, ton of options here. We're going to talk about each of them. We're not, except for IGTV. We're not going to talk about IGTV. The only reason is because this is a short webinar and it's a basics webinar. So I want you to focus on getting your content up, learning how to make that content, and then finding consumers, right? IGTV also is not as popular as Reels and posts and all of that. And it's pretty easy to figure out if you can figure out Reels. The biggest difference between Reels and IGTV is they're both video content. So all of these, the posts, the Insta stories, the highlights are pictures, or small videos. And Reels are specifically video based, and they have that whole extra special part of Instagram for them. And IGTV is a longer reel. So anything more than 60 seconds ends up on IGTV. But we'll talk about Reels. And then, like I said, IGTV is just even longer than Reels. So let's dig right into it here. Instagram posts, how do you make a post? Some of you might be saying, I know how to make a post, Sarah, I'm on Instagram. But like I said, it is an Instagram basics. 40% of you said you've never been on Instagram. So how do you make a post? Like I said, you use that plus icon. That's a great place to start. And then you can either upload a picture of something you've already taken on your phone, or you can take a picture right then and there. You'll take your phone out, you'll take a picture, like I said, or you can upload a picture. Once you have it, let's say you took this picture of the Boston skyline, you can do a lot of funky stuff with the picture. If you're not that comfortable or you want to play around with it, this is a great place to start because you can do things like add filters. So you can change the way it looks. You can make it grayscale, you can make it super bright, et cetera, or you can just leave it at it as is. You don't necessarily have to change the picture if you don't want to. You will add a status, like I said. So the main point of Instagram is you want that nice picture, but you do want to maybe put a tagline there, whether it's for your personal account saying, look at this cookie I made, or for your business account saying, buy my cookies. Whatever it is, you're going to probably want a little tag underneath. This tag people is if there was someone in your picture that you wanted to tag. Might not apply as much for your business unless you're collaborating with a partner, but let's say you took a picture of you and your sister and you wanted to tag her in it, you can, then it will also like give her a notification that there was a picture of her put up. You can add a location. So like I said earlier, user generated content, right? If one of your customers bought your cupcake and then said, I bought this at Sarah's Cupcake, and added the location of your retail store to their location, then that's automatic marketing for you. But you can also make posts and put any kind of location you want here. And then remember how I talked about how you can link your Instagram to other social media? When you're making your new post, this is exactly what it looks like. It'll give you the option to also post to Facebook or also post to Twitter. You don't have to, you can toggle on and off, and you can decide if I want all of my posts to go to Facebook or just some of them. You can make that call, but it allows you to do that right then and there. So you can decide if you want the post to go or not. So once you've done that, you'll just submit the photo and it ends up in the newsfeed, right? It'll end up right here for people to scroll through. They can like it, they can comment on it. Basically acts like the newsfeed that you've probably seen on a Facebook or a Twitter if you've been on any other social media. This is the most easy. And when you make a post, it ends up on your profile. So remember, like I said, if you click on your circle, you can see your profile, and on there, you'll see every single post you've ever made. Posts stay forever and they are static. So they don't get deleted after a certain amount of time. They're just always there and always on your profile unless you manually delete them. There's also something called Instagram stories. Instagram stories are the short little, they're like a shorter version of a post. I think that might be the easiest way to say it. Like I said, posts are forever. A story only lasts 24 hours. So this might be if you're wanting to highlight something really quickly, or you don't think your picture is post worthy, but you still want to share it, but you only want to share it for a certain amount of time. There are a lot of people that use Instagram stories in a creative way for their business. And this is another way where you can connect it to Facebook, or, so some of you might have noticed if you've been on Facebook recently that you can add a story to Facebook as well. Now they copied that, so you can do both. And if you post a story to Instagram, it can also go to Facebook. So like I said earlier, you might not want to delve into Facebook, but if you ever do, the two work really, really well together. But you can see other people's stories on the top here. So you would click on it and it shows you their story, and you get to look at it for a few short seconds before it goes away. You can click on it again if you want to see it again, but the idea is that it's trying to compete with Snapchat a little bit. if you've ever heard of Snapchat. Snapchat is basically a social media platform where you take a picture, people see it for 10, 20 seconds, and it's gone forever. So Instagram introduced Insta Stories to compete with another social media platform. So you can put something up, but it's only there for 24 hours. So that's something to be aware of. But same thing, you would click this little circle here for your story, you click the plus, take a picture or upload a picture. You can upload a picture if you already have one. It allows you to do a lot of really cool stuff here, like adding the location. You can add a hashtag. You can add the temperature if you want. I mean, and you can search for things like stickers and emojis and whatever inside of here. And then, as you can see on the right, plop them right on the picture wherever you want. You can use your fingers to turn them sideways or move them around on the photo. But that's really what this is meant for here with Instagram stories. And if you were a business and you're doing a short sale on something, or you just wanted to highlight really quickly, like a customer comment or something like that, you could certainly use Instagram stories to just diversify where your content is going. All right, so those are the two most used, certainly, is Instagram posts, Instagram stories are the 24-hour ones. This is an Instagram highlight, and you may or may not use these. That's completely up to you. An Instagram highlight creates those same little circles that look like an Instagram story, right? They create them here, but it's on your profile. So as you can see in this third box here, I'm talking about, this is what a profile looks like when you click on someone's profile. It has their profile picture, their name, maybe whatever their information is, and then you can create something called a highlight, which is just a little circle here that you can label. And it has the same concept as a story where people click through it, like the picture only lasts for a couple seconds before it moves to the next picture in the lineup, but they don't go away after 24 hours. The whole point of the highlights is so that you can be creative in how you put things on your site. On your profile. So what do I mean by that? Let's go back to the start right here. Let's say we're Katarina of embedsocial.com, and she wants to see if she can make any story highlights. She doesn't have any yet. If you wanted to make one, you have an option here, like Instagram was trying to prep you for the capability. You would click the down arrow, and then it would say, do you want to add new ones? And you could if you want. You would click new, and it's pretty similar to the Instagram stories or even a post. Honestly, you would just pick whatever photo you want and you would add it to that highlight reel. What the highlight reel does is it lets you add multiple photos, and a lot of people you might be asking, why do people do this? From a personal perspective, a lot of people do it to showcase vacations or things like that. So if you wanted to make a reel and have it live on your profile for Mexico trip, and then you could have all of the pictures you took from that trip in one place so that it's not bogging up all of your posts, for example, and it's not just in the story, so it goes away after 24 hours. And then people can click on that if they want to see specifically your Mexico trip, and it just stays on your profile until you want to remove the highlight off of your profile. What does this look like from a business perspective? We can take a look at this third column here. This is Vegan Manager. She's a chef. She uses the highlights to highlight her different types of food that she makes. So she has one all about vegan salads, one all about vegan lunch. So this might look a little bit like a menu. So maybe she has 5 different vegan salads. She can put all 5 pictures, of the 5 salads up in the highlight reel. And then anyone that comes to her account can click on that and specifically look at the salads. So if you're a business and you sell multiple products in a similar line, you might want to make a highlight so that people can easily find that information without having to scroll through your posts or it being in your story that disappears in 24 hours. So hope that kind of explains a little bit why a highlight might be useful to you. And like I said, if you ever want to delete one, you can click on it and then click delete. No sweat on that. You can also edit highlights. So over here on my last slide here, if you wanted to edit what the cover photo is, instead of it just having be a picture, you can have it actually be something cute, like something that says vegan salads. That would require some graphic design capabilities, but nothing too crazy. You can also decide if you want to remove things from the highlight or add things. And every time you edit the highlight, which would be clicking the second button here, you just click done when you're done moving stuff around, and you're good to go. So it's, like I said, it's just a very creative way to continue to use Instagram. And the last one I'm going to show you really quickly is Reels, because this is the most popular and it just gets more and more popular as we go. Some of you might not be interested in using it too soon because it does require video, and I know video marketing is a little bit more intimidating than photo marketing. But I promise you, just give it a try. Making Instagram Reels is actually kind of fun. How would you make one? Same thing as before, right? You'll go to this plus sign right here. Instead of making a post like this or making a story like this, you can make a reel. You click on reel. What happens is it pops up with something like this. So it'll show you a little button that when you click on it, it starts recording. So don't click on that unless you want to record. You can have the camera face you. You can have the camera face away from you. And you can just do a cute little blurb. And like I said earlier, reels have to be less than 60 seconds. But you can click on that, take a video of yourself saying, hi, welcome to my shop. My name is Sarah. This is what's on sale for today. Or look at all my cupcakes in a row, or whatever it is that you want to do. Be creative with it. You can also add audio. So you can make up your own audio, or you can use popular audio that other people are using. You can decide the length. You can decide the speed. So if you want it to be at a normal speed, or if you want it to sound like someone's fast forwarding through a video. You can add special effects like making it glittery or changing the fading, etc. And even do funky things with the layout. There's a lot to be done here. If you're thinking, I have no idea where to start with that, I encourage just starting really simply with making a little video and then seeing if you can add an audio to it. And one of the easiest ways to gain, especially the attention of people in younger generations, is to use popular audio that other people are using. So when you go to click the audio button, it'll automatically pop up with something like I have over here on the right that says for you, and it'll show you what some of the most popular songs of the day are, or you can search for any other kind of song. So you might say, I want to post a video of making pasta for my pasta restaurant. And you don't want to use Watermelon Sugar by Harry Styles. You want to use some kind of like cute Italian romance instrumental song. You could probably search for something like that and then add it instead. So just try something really quickly like that, like a 30-second video of you with the pasta, and then add an audio clip to the top of it and see how it looks. But there are certainly ways you can be really creative with this. And why would you want to be in this space? Well, you can use new videos right then and there, or you can upload a video. So let's say you made a video a couple of years ago and you're like, I actually think I'd like to put that up here really quickly. Use a pre-recorded video. That might also give you the chance to practice what you're putting up there. And by the way, just because you record, if you get to preview it, okay? I don't need anyone to freak out. You get to preview it. So if you think, oh, that was atrocious, you can just delete it, pretend it didn't happen, So you do get to practice. But I do encourage you to follow popular audio, because the popular audio is cross-referenced with TikTok. That's another fun one. Has anyone ever heard of TikTok? That's the most popular with Gen Z right now. And the only reason Instagram even moved their entire thing around, remember, and moved the plus sign up here far away from where people thought it would be, is to make room for Reels, because they're competing directly with TikTok at this point. So if you're looking for stuff that will help people on TikTok, Reels is a great place to start practicing. And same thing as before, you can put your videos on Instagram and Facebook. And like I said earlier, video marketing gets 80% more views than normal posts, 80%. So it's worthwhile to at least give it a try. So I'm going to take a look at the chat really quickly. We have a ton of great questions in here, and I don't want you to think I'm not reviewing them. I just think, like I said, there are some that you're going to see happen. Yep. All right, so I'm gonna try to answer most of these at the end, because I think a lot of them will make more sense that way. Someone says, can you link to LinkedIn and Pinterest? That's a great question. I know you cannot link to LinkedIn, just as a FYI. Pinterest, that might be one that you could add in manually, because as you saw on one of my slides, let's see if I can go back to it. You can add additional ones here. Like if none of these are the ones you want, you can add additional linked accounts. It does take a little bit more business savvy, because you have to figure out how to go to the back end of LinkedIn settings, but also it has to be compatible. So I think you could probably even do a really quick Google search and say, is Pinterest compatible with Instagram? It'll say yes, no, but I don't know off the top of my head. I do know that you can add a couple extra profiles, and I do know that unfortunately it doesn't link with LinkedIn. Let me see. Someone said, how long are the videos on the reel? 60 seconds. So if you're on a video Instagram reel, it has to be less than 60 seconds. You can make longer videos. So like I said earlier, right, there is that thing called IGTV. If you want to make a 10-minute video, which is kind of long, I might not recommend that, but maybe like a 5-minute video tutorial of you doing something related to your business, you certainly could. Just be aware that it will then pop over to IGTV, which is still within Instagram, just not as popular as the reels. So reels are 60 seconds. Anything longer, you can, it just moves to IGTV. So will this recording be emailed? Yes, everyone will get a copy of this recording because I know this is jam-packed, right? I mean, there's so much to go over with Instagram. They do so many fun things. So yes, you definitely will be getting a copy of the recording and a copy of my PowerPoint. Yep, hopefully it helps you make those accounts. What if you don't have the highlight feature? Carolyn asked, if you don't have the highlight feature, how do you add it? I think I just went over that, but just as a reminder to everyone, if you don't have it, it should say it right here, story highlights with a down caret. And then when you click on it, it pops up a little bit for you to have this here and you click new. If you don't see that, let me know. It should be on basically everyone's profile. If not, I would just double check your settings, because you can also go up to the 3 bars here and look in your settings and find story highlights there as well. But it should be right there on that page. All right. Let me see, what else we got? Can I have 2 different Instagram business accounts? Yes, you can. And we're gonna talk about that right now. What happens to the story's content after 24 hours? Just disappears. It just disappears. If you click on your personal profile, up in the settings area, there is like a little circle with like an arrow on the end. That is called your archive. It's your stories archive. So you can see any of your old stories, but only you. So after 24 hours, it disappears for everybody else. If you ever want to look at it again, you can go to your profile and look in the archive section. All right, we got a lot of great questions here. So I'm going to keep going into what everyone is probably really interested in now is you figured out how to make the first step, which was just make an Instagram account. Make it easy, make it your, Sarah Mailloux or Jane Clark or whoever it is. Now you know how to make all those fun posts. Now you want to use it for your business, right? So you figured it out, but it needs to be relevant for your business. So like I said earlier, you can make an Instagram business account. It's very beneficial to do so. Even if you have a personal account and you're highlighting what your business is doing on your personal account, you're probably going to want to take a look at some of these features, because when you're in an Instagram business account, you can do a lot of analytics, which are very important when it comes to utilizing the data, right? So who's following you? Who's not following you? Are they all from a specific region? Are they different age? What's going on there? You can start kind of looking at what's going on and how your posts are doing. So for example, you might have, let's look at this girl right here, Art Day. She has one that is looks like a bunch of postcards, one that might be a short video about herself, and one that's the t-shirt. Maybe you could buy that t-shirt. If this post on the right gets 20 likes and these ones don't get nearly as many, Instagram can kind of show you some percentages on the back end and say, not only this is how many people liked it, but this is how many people viewed it. Maybe you want to post more that look like the one on the right, based off of those analytics. But you'll notice everything else is the same. You can have your stories. The other thing is now you can utilize Insta Shop. So you can make that cart. You cannot do that with a personal account. So if you are thinking that maybe now or even in the future, if you're not ready right now, you want to do that Instagram shop, you will need to have the business account. And if you create the shop, then it makes an extra button on your business account where you can pull people off. What is the Instagram shop? You might be asking. Instagram shop we'll talk about more in a second, but it kind of looks like this, where you can have people kind of, like I said, it's a button, right? So it kind of moves them off of your account profile to just look at your products, and you can post pictures and they can see the price, and then they can add it to a cart and actually check out on Instagram. We're going to talk about that in a second, but it's a very cool new thing that Instagram is trying to do. It doesn't have a ton of traction. I think after a year, they thought it would have more traction than it does, but don't get me wrong. There are certainly a ton of people using Instagram to buy things, because in this ever mobilized world, people are using their phone to buy stuff all the time. And Instagram is specifically set up for mobile. So it's so easy to view products and buy products that a lot of people are utilizing it in that way. So a lot of you asked, and I know this was something we paused and talked about a little bit earlier, was, well, I'm trying to convert from personal to business, or can I just make a business account, or what's going on with that? And here's what's happening is you can convert your personal to a business account. You have to make an account before you can make it a business account. So that person in the chat earlier said, I made a business account without a personal account. What you probably did was create a personal account, and then you had to switch it to a professional account. And you can either replace your account or make a new one. So we're gonna talk about that right now. You can convert your personal profile to a business. That feature has all those features. Once again, just reminding everyone you can only have 5 accounts at a time. So how would you switch it? So let's say you created an account and you wanted it to be a business account. So what do I mean by that? I don't want anyone to think, oh my gosh, if I switch to a business account, am I getting rid of my personal account? You're gonna want to create 2 accounts, okay? That's the biggest thing here. So if you started off earlier today and you already had an account for your personal self, like Sarah Mayu, and you had 40, 50 people, I don't know, already following you on there, and you want to keep that separate and you just want that to be you and your food and your family and all of that stuff, you can make a second account. You can either use a different email, or you can make a second account with an Instagram. You can make 2 accounts and have them linked. But either way, you're going to want to have a separate account so you do not remove your personal account. But here's the caveat though, you cannot make a business account without having an account created. So you're going to want to do one of the 2. And then if you have made your new account that you want to just be for your business, you will tap the 3 lines icon in the upper right hand corner that we talked about, right? So when you're on that Instagram profile and you're looking at all your settings and stuff, in the right hand corner, it has the 3 lines. You go to the settings and you're going to click on switch to professional account. So you'll scroll down, click switch, tap business because you're switching to a professional business account, and it gives you steps to then connect it to your Facebook business page. So some of you asked, well, how do I connect my business account to Facebook? I don't want it to connect to Facebook personal, I want to connect to Facebook business. You can't do that step until you're in business account. That's how Facebook gets you. So once you've made that business account, then you can also connect it to your Facebook business account if you had one, or vice versa. And then you'll tap done. Now you can use your business account to have all of these additional insights. You can track the performance, look up educational content that's curated by Instagram that you can only use if you're a business account. I really hope that clarifies it for everyone. So if it's not, please put it in the Q&A or the chat. I want to make sure that nobody messes this part up and deletes their personal Instagram if you do not want to. But like I said, whatever you do, you can't just go onto Instagram and create a business profile out of nothing. It has to start off as a personal. That's the point I want to get across, is it has to start off as a personal no matter what, and then you have to switch to professional. So you can go into Instagram today, make a personal account called Sarah's Cupcakes, and then literally 20 seconds later, click switch to professional, and now it's a business account. But it doesn't start off as a business account. That's the one thing I just wanted to clarify here. You do have to go in and switch it. If anyone has questions about that, please do let me know. All right, how do you set up that new business account? Well, you just made the account, right? It starts off as a personal, you click the switch to business account, now it's a business account. With that, it's gonna ask you to set up all of this additional information. So you can change the name, you can change the username, you're gonna be able to add your website, which you could not do as a personal account, and set up your bio. So this is where you want people to find information to then give them that call to action, right? What is the next step? How do they find you? What is your contact information? How do they reach you via email? And one thing I will say is you want to pick a compelling photo, ideally one that is your logo or one that is easy to read or is connected to your brand in some way. You want people to be able to easily know that this account is connected to your business. And that's about it, right? I mean, that might have sounded really quick, but it's not that complicated, I promise. Once you've set up the business account, the rest works the same as the personal account, which is why we spent all of that time at the beginning going over what do all of the buttons look like? How do you make a post? How do you make a story? How do you make a reel? The business account does all the same stuff. It's just now a business account, and you have the ability to add your website and take a look at the analytics and have your contact information there. So that's about it. Once you've created your business account, you can now make posts, you can make reels, you can do whatever you want to do next. And the big thing is you can also set up an Instagram shop if that's something you were interested in. Like I said, that's a big step, and you do want to make sure it's the right fit for you. There are a couple caveats here. If you want to make the Instagram shop, which like I said earlier, allows you to basically create a little shop with just all your products for people to see, you need to first confirm your eligibility. So Instagram has set up a couple different requirements, and it literally, if you're on your business account and you go to the set up a shop option, it'll walk you through all the eligibility requirements. And if you don't meet them, then you can't make a shop. But one of the things I will tell you is you have to have a website. So if you were one of those people looking at considering if this was an e-commerce platform that you could use instead of a website, the answer is no. It's not like an Etsy, it's not like an eBay. If you want to be able to sell on Instagram, you need to have a website also. So that is the biggest caveat. So if you're thinking that applies to you, that's already something that would make you ineligible for Instagram shop. You also need to have an Instagram business account with a corresponding Facebook business page. So once again, they're making it a little difficult here, but like I said earlier, you might be thinking, I don't want to touch Facebook at all. If you're at this stage, you're going to need to have an Instagram business account and a Facebook business page in order to have an Instagram shop. You have to have both. They make you do that. That's all I gotta say. And then you set up the product catalog within your Facebook business page or your e-commerce platform, whatever it is, and then you can create an Instagram shop. I don't want to spend too much time on this because this is basics. Many of you probably won't get to this step, but just so you know, this is what it is and what the requirements are for moving into this step. Why would you want to have Instagram shop besides letting people buy your products? You can also then use Instagram to market and then utilize product tabs too. So what do I mean by that? Look at the right-hand side. This is a post. This is an Instagram post from a business Instagram account. But what they did was they posted a picture of this mouse that the baby is holding, and they're trying to sell the mouse, right? Well, normally, if you were just a Facebook business page, you might post, look at this new mouse we just made, buy it by going to our website or something like that. When you have an Instagram shop, you can actually create a product tag. So for example, if someone was on your Instagram business account, saw the mouse, thought that's adorable, I want to buy it, instead of having to go to your profile or go to your website or try to figure out the next step, you can add a product tag that they can click on. See, this is clickable, and it brings them right to checkout. That is what makes Instagram shop really cool. That's how you can really utilize your photos, but might be a little beyond some of what you can do at this point, just because of the logistics of Instagram. So I'm going to take a look at the chat one more time, and then we're going to talk about Instagram marketing, right? What's the plan now that you know how to make a Instagram, we're an Instagram. And once you know how to make an Instagram, know how to make the posts, know that the business account is important, and especially in terms of moving forward, what do you do next? How do you do marketing that works? That's what this next little bit is going to be about. So let me take a look at our Q&A because it's blowing up a little bit, and then we'll keep going. Someone asked, is there a difference in how the business account looks for the customer versus the personal account? Is there a noticeable difference? There isn't a notable difference. When you get to a certain amount of followers, your account will have that little blue plus sign. So I'll go back a page. Look, like this is the Instagram shop business account. You can get a little plus. But besides that, it's not very noticeable. The big thing will be that you have contact information and that you can have a website link in there, which you cannot do as a personal account. So it gives you a couple more pieces of information, but I wouldn't say there's a noticeable difference. Does my website have to have an e-commerce function, or is it just having a regular website enough? That's a great question, Cynthia. I don't know that it needs to have the e-commerce function, but it needs to have the products listed. So Instagram and the shopping cart is pulling from your Shopify or wherever your e-commerce platform is to have the products then be able to be bought on Instagram. So it kind of toes the line, right? I mean, you are more than welcome to apply and see what Instagram says in response to giving you that shop. Whether or not people are paying on your site is one thing, but you do need to at least have your products all listed in a product fashion where, you know, people can click on it or add to a cart, because that's what Instagram shop is connecting to. So I know that wasn't a straightforward answer, but that's what I got. People are asking about hashtags. Trust me, I think Matt just asked that, Tim just asked that. That's what we're getting to right now, is how to use Instagram now to really gain traction. So I'm going to get to both of you right now. Someone said, so personal and business accounts both have the same name. I would not give your personal and business account the same name. So I don't want to have confused anyone here. If you have a personal account and you want to keep it separate. Like, just have it be your name. When you make a business account, yes, what's going to happen is you will make an account on Instagram and you will call the account Sarah's Cupcakes. For all intents and purposes, it's just a personal account though. You have to go to the settings and you have to switch to a professional account and then a business account. Once you've switched it, now you have a business account and its name is Sarah's Cupcakes and your personal is Sarah Mailloux. But you have to make sure you switch it. That was the biggest caveat that I was trying to get across. Someone said, when you create a story highlight, where do people see it? People only see the highlights if they go to your, let me retract that. People will see it in your story. So yes, you said, do they see it in the Insta story? Yes. So if you make a highlight on your profile and you put something on it, it goes to your Instagram story. So yes, if someone sees it up there, they'll see it for the 24 hours. They can click through it, but then it also will remain in your highlight. So when you, for example, make a new story, you have the option to add to a highlight. And when you do that, it only is in your story at the top bar for 24 hours, but then it lands in your highlight on your profile forever after that. So when you create a highlight, people could see it right then and there. But if I was coming to your profile, or I just learned about your business 3 months later, for example, and I wanted to see that picture, it's in your highlights. I'd have to go to your profile to see it in that highlight reel though. If you want more clarification on that, let me know. And let's see. What's the difference between tweeting a picture and posting on Instagram? If you're referring to tweeting a picture on Twitter, one of the biggest differences is really just the way the accounts work. So Instagram is meant for pictures only. So you're going to see more traction with picture content on Instagram. People are looking for pictures and they're looking for things to buy. People don't necessarily go to Twitter to buy things. And as much as you can put a picture in a tweet, it doesn't necessarily have the same pull. You know, Twitter is more for informational. So you might make a business Twitter account in order to share information on what things are doing or to share links to try and get a call to action, but pictures won't have the same weight on the Twitter platform. They aren't given the same weight in the algorithm, and they aren't necessarily the main pull of being on that platform. Can you connect Instagram to your Facebook business page? Yes. And if it's connected to your personal by accident, it's really easy to fix it. You have to make your Facebook business account first and then switch where it's connected. And if you need someone to walk you through that, we are happy to do so. All right, I'm going to keep going now, and hopefully any last questions I'm able to get to. If I didn't get to your question yet, I'm sorry. We've just had like 20 people ask questions, and I want to make sure that we get to all of them. So, like I said, we now know how to make the account. We know how to make the posts, all the posts, the highlights, the stories, the posts, the reels, and you can make them on your business page. Now, how do you get people to your business page, and how do you make this platform work for you? How do you make that moolah? This is probably me just being a broken record, but you got to start with a plan. It's exciting. Instagram is very exciting, but you want to make sure you know what your goal is on this platform. Do you have a goal that makes sense? I think Instagram is great for researching the competition. So before you even get started, or maybe if you've already started, because I know 60% of you have at least been on Instagram before, take a look at what some of the other people in your space are doing. If you sell cupcakes, If you make pottery, look at what other people are doing on there and how they're making their pictures and what kind of posts they're making. And you can really get a good feel for what you should be doing or maybe what you should not be doing. It's a really great way to find inspiration as well, because like I said, Instagram has that search bar at the top. If you try and find out how to create inspirational Instagram posts, go find other people on there that are making cool posts. You don't have to make it all up on your own. But do make sure you have an objective, right? The objective is to get 100 followers. Okay, but then what? How many of them will then buy a product from you, buy your service, share your product, make that user-generated content? What do you want to be the next step? Just having the followers is one thing, but is that going to actually help your bottom line? That's what I want you to consider, is take that 2 steps out and create some kind of social media calendar, because unfortunately, Instagram doesn't let you schedule things in advance. Some of you might be saying, what does that even mean, Sarah? If you've been on Facebook, for example, you can schedule posts in advance. So I can maybe go on a Sunday night onto my Facebook and say, I want this post to go out Monday, I want this post to go out Tuesday, Wednesday, etc. So that I only have to do it on Sunday. Instagram doesn't let you schedule in advance like that. So there are 2 options here. One is create this social media calendar and kind of plan out when you want posts to go, or connect with Facebook Business Suite, because when you're in Facebook Business Suite, you can post to Facebook and Instagram at the same time, and you can schedule in advance from Facebook Business Suite. So like I said, I didn't want to keep bringing Facebook Business Suite up, but it's just so intertwined at this point. So you have those 2 options there. But the other thing you don't want to do is just go ghost. You can't create an Instagram profile, put a picture up a day, gain a couple followers, and then go offline for a whole month. So you want to be at least consistent. If you can't post every single day, it's not the end of the world, but you want to be consistent, at least like once a week or once every 2 weeks. Don't just leave your followers, because like I said earlier, social media is about relationships, right? It's about creating those networks, and your customers aren't going to trust you if you're not engaging with them on a consistent basis. And you're really looking at social media in the long game, right? The more people that know about you, the more they'll share with their friends, the more they'll like you, they'll like your products, you get awareness raised, and then you get people to buy. So it's really important from that perspective. What other resources are there out for you? So you might have just made your business account. You might be saying, I have no idea where to get started, and I don't know how to make a marketing plan either, Sarah. That's okay. Once you've made that business account, like I said earlier, you get access to some really cool free resources. So you can go to business.instagram.com/getting started, and they will create a free marketing plan for you. You'll tell them about your goals. They'll give you this plan, and it'll help you figure out the skills to make it happen, how to grow your followers, find new customers, and get discovered. So this is a great first step for anyone who especially is not that tech savvy. Take a look at what their marketing plan is. So if you were looking at my start with a plan slide and you said, I don't even know how to start the plan, let Instagram help you start with an idea. Or come to the SBDC, you can meet with one of our consultants one-on-one. But definitely take a look at what Instagram offers as well, because they have some tips of the trade that they can share with you. So like I kind of stated earlier, you want to focus on that quality over quantity, especially with Instagram. Instagram, I would not post more than once a day as an Instagram post in the newsfeed. Stories, you can put multiple of those 24-hour stories up in a day. People love that. But really try to not post more than once a day on the newsfeed, because it muddies it up. People don't enjoy seeing more than one post a day from accounts normally. I don't know why. That's just the social standard. And like I said, if you can't do one a day, it's not something you get heartbroken over, because I want you to focus on the quality. So your post should offer value. Your post should be catching. It should have some kind of call to action. I don't want you to post just for the sake of posting, but if you have a really nice picture with a good caption on, this is something that we make, you should buy it, or here's what I've been doing, for my business today. Those are all really important. And Instagram is all about being human. You want to be honest with your people on there. You're making that relationship, right? They're not making a relationship just with your cupcakes. They're making a relationship with you, the business owner. So they want to know how you make the cupcakes, how your kid is doing. Make sure your posts are not all promotional. Share as much or as little about your personal life as you want, but make sure that when you're on Instagram, only a couple of the posts a week are about buying the products, and most of them are about sharing information about yourself, about what's going on in the community. You really want to engage people in a way that they want to be engaged in. And that's another great way to do so, by looking at what other people are doing. Look at your competitors. Like I said, I hate to be a broken record, but see what your competitors are doing. And if you're like, oh, I would never buy from them, they keep posting the same thing over and over again, then don't do that, you know. But if you see someone, you're like, wow, I really love the spread here. They're talking about their business and how it's helping the local community. They're talking about their new sale. They're talking about, you know, this is me making my cupcakes with my kid, whatever it is. That's the kind of stuff that people gravitate towards. So in terms of Instagram, and by the way, this focus on quality over quantity, I would say that for anything, any social media, not just Instagram. But if we're looking at Instagram strategy in specifics, here are a couple things I would say. It's different from Facebook, first off. So some of you might, you know, be the people that go on Facebook, post 100 photos in an album and just like put it up for everybody. Instagram, you need to be choosier, and there are a few reasons. Like I said earlier, you don't want to post more than once a day, and you don't want to post things that are too similar. This is a snippet from just like a personal standpoint, even like not posting 10 photos from the same beach vacation. Same idea. Don't post same 10 photos of the same cupcake or same storefront 10 days in a row. That's not going to draw people's attention. They want that diversity, you know, in what's on your profile. And you want that aesthetic, right? It's all about the aesthetic. But there are plenty of other options for things to show up. So if you're like, oh my gosh, well, I have so many great photos of this, I don't know, cupcake, and I can only post one on my news feed, what do I do? Well, you can put some in your stories. You can put some in your highlights. You can make a little reel video about it. There are tons of ways to use your content. So I don't want you to think, oh my gosh, I took all these pictures and they're all too similar. Trust me, there are other ways you can still use them on Instagram. Just might not be a post on the newsfeed. How do I get more followers or increase my following? You're going to want your profile to be optimized. I think that's self-explanatory, but like I said earlier, you want your username to be obvious. So if I'm Sarah's Cupcakes LLC, my username should probably be Sarah's Cupcakes and not Sarah Spins or Sarah's Ice Cream or Sarah Sunshine or, you know, anything else. If you can't find that username available already, you can start to get a little bit creative, but try to keep it as close as possible. Like I said earlier, even with your profile picture, it should be your business logo or your business storefront, or if you're a solopreneur and you're marketing really your skills, maybe it's a picture of you, but it needs to be really obvious for when people are looking for you that they can find you. The higher the content, the more followers, I promise. It's a long game, but I promise it pays off. You want others to share your profile. So that's that user-generated content, right? If you have an Instagram, especially when you're starting off, if someone buys your product, tell them, I would love if you shared this on Instagram, or you can do, I've seen a lot of businesses do, what are they called? Little competitions, like for every fourth, share, or for every 10 people that post something about our account, we give out a dozen cupcakes or whatever it is. People love that stuff. I mean, that's the way you can engage your audience and still be authentic and get them to share with their followers, because the best way for you to gain followers is not for you to reach out to your circle of 10 people and then like stretch and start friending random people. It's for you to share with your circle of 10 and for them to each share with their circle of 10, and it just grows that way. So the best way to do that is engage with them and post stuff that they like. And as some people mentioned in the Q&A, use hashtags. How do you use hashtags with Instagram? Instagram is one of the social media platforms where using hashtags works really well. Facebook, not so much. Twitter is another one where it's something that people use very often. But when you're trying to find something on Instagram and you're not friends with someone, or they're not following you, using hashtags can help people find you regardless. So I'm going to keep with my cupcake example, because why not? If I sold lemon blueberry cupcakes and I'm trying to find, scratch that. I'm going to use something more applicable. I sell vegan cupcakes and I'm trying to grow my network. Probably when I make my Instagram post, I'll post a beautiful picture of the cupcake I just made. I'll say, take a look at our vegan cupcakes for this week. We have apple, cinnamon, blueberry, and chocolate, or whatever. And then I could do hashtag Sarah's Cupcakes, which if anyone was searching for me on Instagram, they'd find me, or hashtag cupcakes, which is a little vague, but you could also do hashtag vegan cupcakes. And then if there are people in the community looking for vegan cupcakes, they will go to the search bar in Instagram and maybe look for something specific like that, and your post could pop up. The more specific the hashtag, the better though, because if you just, put hashtag cupcakes and someone searches cupcakes on Instagram, I guarantee you over 2 million posts will pop up, and the chances of yours being one at the top are very slim. So you want to be very purposeful when you're using hashtags. So you're trying to reach a very targeted audience. And when people are searching, they're not searching for something generic. They're probably searching for something that they're specifically wanting. So try out different hashtags as well. If you're using hashtags and you're not seeing any traction, try different ones. And there's no limit on how many hashtags. You can do 2, 3, 5, 10. I would try not to do maybe 10 because it'll start to muddy up your post, but you can certainly have quite a few hashtags and play around, because the search bar really is what's going to allow people to find you with those hashtags. And it's very useful in that way. And like I said earlier, use video, try your hand at a reel, try something like that, or even if you just want to take a normal video and then make it a post in your newsfeed, it makes such a huge difference. It really does. Now, this is Instagram Basics, so I don't want to spend a ton of time on Instagram ads because you do have to pay for them. But the average Instagram ad does cost around 50 cents to $1 per click. So it is a cost per click method, and more highly competitive industries like apparel will cost about $3 per click. So if that's something you're interested in, that's kind of the price point you're looking at, just as an FYI. That might be something that you can also do to expand your reach if you're interested in going that route. Use the right tools. So Instagram isn't a standalone, right? You still have to make nice pictures or nice videos to put on Instagram. Well, you can create graphics on Canva or Pictochart. You can find ideas for content creation using programs like BuzzSumo. And like I said earlier, if you're looking for ways to schedule stuff in advance, you can look at some of the free platforms like Buffer or Hootsuite, or connect yourself to Facebook Business. So there are a ton of different tools. I encourage you to Google some of these if you're interested. I did sort them by what they help you with to kind of continue to use not just Instagram, but all of your social media in a way that makes sense. So that was the big thing for me. Just a couple follow-ups for your next steps, right? 1, Temple SBDC is the Digital Transformation Center of Excellence. So if you're looking for next steps, you want to meet with someone one-on-one, you want to figure out how to grow your Instagram following, sign up for consulting with us. We are here for you. We help at no cost. We provide programming like this for you at no cost. And that's really our goal, is to continue to grow people in their e-commerce and their digital marketing. I do encourage you to take a look at what we can do in this space. Take a look at what's upcoming. So you all will get a copy of this PowerPoint. Here's some links to some of our upcoming sessions, if any of them are of interest to you. And here's just a list of some of the things we help with. Like I said earlier, we're not just here for webinars. We do one-on-one consulting. We have training programs. We have clinics. So take advantage of everything free. Your tax dollars did help pay for this. And if this was a great first step for you and you're looking for next steps, or you might say, this was Instagram Basics and I really was hoping for something a little more deep dive, that's okay. Look, we've spent an hour and a half here and we went over the basics, and some of you, I'm sure, really took value in that. So there's a reason we start at the bare bones. If you're looking for the next step, we do have the next step available. It's Instagram Marketing Fundamentals on October 28th. That is for intermediate level users. So going into this, we would assume you already know how to use Instagram. You already have an Instagram business account, and then looking at really growing that following. So if you're thinking that's the next step for you, you can definitely register here. We do have the link in the PowerPoint, and it's also available on our website. All right, that was the end of my slideshow. So I'm going to stop share and get to that Q&A in our last couple minutes here. I just want to thank you all for being such a patient audience. I know there's so much to be said in Instagram. An hour and a half almost doesn't even seem like enough time to talk about all of it. But before I get to the questions, I want to really quickly put a link in the chat to our survey. Those of you that have been on before know the drill. For us to continue to provide these programmings, we just want to know how we did. So this is of huge value to me. It's of huge value to our organization. Let us know what you liked, what you didn't like, what you'd like to see in the future, and we do take that all into account. So I want to thank you all so much for your time today. I am more than happy to stay on a little bit after 1:30 since we have a lot of questions in the Q&A, but feel free to hop off if you've already gotten everything you wanted to out of this session. But I'm going to jump right into the Q&A now and see what we can do. So let's see. Someone said, I think we answered this already, Kimberly, if you're starting out, should you have an integrated personal and business account? And I had said, you should try to keep them separate, but if you are promoting your business on your personal account, there's certainly nothing wrong with that. All right, someone said, when we get to the part about making a professional account, could you explain the difference between creator and professional account? I do not have one for my Etsy shop. Barbara, I think maybe we have a meeting with you scheduled soon anyway, so I'm gonna actually, your situation is just so specific with Etsy and everything else. I think that would probably be best for us to talk about one-on-one. So I think one of the things she mentioned, though, that some of you might be interested in is Creator Studio. So I mentioned that on one of my slides toward the end as well. When you have Facebook Business Suite, you have access to something called Creator Studio, where you can actually get a little bit more assistance from Facebook in terms of scheduling the posts, making the graphics, etc. So there's a lot that can be done in that space. You just have to link your business accounts together for something like that. It's not necessarily related to Etsy in any way. Etsy doesn't integrate per se with Facebook and Instagram. You would be basically making your accounts and then telling people to go find your stuff on your Etsy web link. So that's my really brief, quick question answer, and then we can talk more later. All right. Setting up products mentions Shopify. If this is part of my web page, can I integrate that way without a Facebook business page? Unfortunately, no. So you have a Shopify, which is great. You still need to have that Facebook business page. I know I don't make the rules, but the reason for that is there's two components, right? They want your e-commerce component, which is your Shopify, which is great. But everything for Instagram runs through Facebook Business Suite, because if you think about it, on Facebook, you can make albums, photo albums. If some of you aren't familiar with Facebook, my apologies. But Facebook, like I said earlier, you can make photo albums. On Instagram, not necessarily the case. You know, you have your news feed, but you can't sort them. You know, minus doing your highlights, which are really stories. So there's no central repository on Instagram for files. And because Instagram Shop needs you to have an album for all of your product images, that's why it makes you integrate with Facebook. I hope that makes sense. So they're really using the Facebook account to keep track of all of your product images in the folders, which only Facebook can do, Instagram can't. And then the Shopify or the e-commerce platform is that other integration that they need. Is it free to have a business page? Yes, it is. Go for it. Have an Instagram business page, have a Facebook business page. It's free. Someone said, do you have any workarounds for scheduling multiple Instagram posts? We can schedule via Canva for single images, but not multiple. Yeah, you can also use Hootsuite or Buffer, which are free if you have less than 3 accounts. So you might only use it for Instagram if you were interested. You can also use Facebook Business Suite. So Amber was saying she uses a third party called Canva. Canva is great for graphic design. I'm actually doing a whole course on how to use Canva, I think in the beginning of December, if anyone's interested. But yes, if you're looking to schedule an Instagram post that has multiple pictures on it, you will need to either use Facebook Business Suite or use a third party like Buffer or Hootsuite if you're scheduling in advance. You can always just schedule right then and there, but I know that's not as conducive for many people's schedules. Someone says, I really need the one-on-one help. Sign up for advising. You can go to sbdc@temple.edu, send us an email, and we will do those next steps with you. Someone said, can you repost your Instagram stories from the archives? It's kind of a two-step process there, Daryl. So you can't just repost from there, but you can download the picture, if that makes sense. So you can go to your archives and download a picture that you liked, and then go back to your front home page, click on the button to make a new post, and then you can pull the picture up again. So it's very easy to reuse those pictures, but it's not like Instagram has a capability for you to go into archives and then just click repost. You know, you kind of have to do a workaround, but you always have access to those files if you want to reuse them. How do you register for the next session on the 28th? If you guys want, give me 2 seconds here and I will put the registration link right in the chat for you. And then you can do it right now if you would like. You will also get a link to the next session in the PowerPoint when that gets sent out. And it's on our website if you want to go searching. But just so you all know, I just put that in the chat. That's the PA SBDC Center Direct link. Is Facebook different from Facebook Business Suite? Not necessarily. If you make a Facebook business page, it automatically becomes part of Facebook Business Suite. Whether you use Facebook Business Suite or not used to be up to you. Facebook has done a ton of updates, and now they pretty much force anything you're doing with your Facebook business page to end up in Facebook Business Suite. They're really trying to push that integration. So it's not necessarily different than Facebook, and you would still log in the same way as well. So you'd go to facebook.com, log into your account, switch to your business page, and Facebook's Business Suite is actually there already, whether you saw it or not. All right, and then someone said, I never received slides from a presenter. When I contacted the location directly, I was told the email address are not available to the local presenters. Kim, feel free to send me an email. I'm gonna put my email in the chat. I don't know if that was our center. We send out our emails within 1 to 2 business days. But if this was a different SBDC, because there are 16 of us, they might not do the same thing as us. Not everyone has the same what's the word I'm looking for? Processes and procedures as Temple. So depending on which center you went to, they may or may not have done that. So I'm more than happy to connect with you on that. All right, that was all the questions. So I think that was really good timing. I'm gonna look at the chat really quickly, just to see how everybody's doing and make sure I didn't miss anything. If you did put a question in the chat and I missed it, if you have the capability, I would love for you to put it in the Q&A just because it's easier to see. There is so much going on in here in the chat. All right, let's see. Someone asked optimal length for videos. They can be up to 60 seconds. It really depends. People use TikTok and put like little 5-second videos. I personally don't think those ones work as well, because if the video is too short, what will happen is Insta-Reel will either move past it, like it'll go 5 seconds onto the next video, or it'll just keep replaying the same loop for the person over and over again, which can get really redundant really quickly. So I would say, a 20 to 30 second video is normally really good standard. You can certainly do all the way up to the 60 seconds and people will watch as long as they're engaged. Yes, the replay and the PowerPoint are available. You will all be getting it in 1 to 2 business days. All right, let's see. Yep, someone highlighted our WordPress courses. Thanks so much. Yeah, can someone in New York City do consultation? I'm a member of New York City SBDC. Yeah, you should have people in your SBDC network in New York City, if that's what you're asking. They can all do one-on-one consulting there as well. All right, I hope I got through everybody's questions here. I'm going to post that link to the survey one more time. Thank you all for your time today, and I would love to connect with you all. I do many of these sessions. You'll see me coming up quite a few more times on the roster. I love to teach on these things. And if there's anything I could have done today to make the session easier for you, please let me know. I know social media can be really daunting, and there's like I said, so much happening with Instagram. They've got way more post options than almost any other platform. So definitely a lot to cover, and I appreciate all of your time today. Someone asked, how do I sign up for a one-on-one? You can email sbdc@temple.edu and say you would like consulting, and we will get a consultant in touch with you. You can also sign up on our website if you were interested. Yes, you can replay the video. I saw that asked again. And then someone said, I recently paid $20 for a post to be posted on Instagram. In 2 days, it had 250 likes. How do I convert the boosted post likes to followers? That is a tough one. And yes, that might be a really good one for the session on the 28th. But just at face value, that's kind of one of those things I was talking about earlier, right? Is what is the goal? Is the goal just to have followers? Is the goal just to have likes? And trying to convert people is really important. So it's great that your post was boosted. I'd be curious to see what the call to action in the post was. You know, did you say in the post, follow my account for more updates or something to that account, to that, you know, to that effect? Because people are only going to follow you if they want to see more of your posts. So you want to make sure that you're giving them some kind of lead in. Like, if you follow my account, we run free promotions every once in a while. Or if you follow my account, you'll get some educational resources, or follow my account to see more posts like this. I mean, besides wanting them to, there's two steps here, right? Is some people will find your post and just buy the product, but never follow you. And some people will want to follow you. So the two aren't mutually exclusive, but if you want followers, there has to be a reason for them to be looking at your account, which once again goes back to the whole not, you know, just posting every once in a while. You really want to be consistent with what you're putting out there. And Kim, I'm sorry you're having some issues with signing up for the training. Like I said, I'm going to put the email in the chat one last time here, sbdc@temple.edu. Please send us an email and we can help figure out why our client management system isn't working for you. It's a very old management system. It's not very fun. So I sympathize. All right, any last minute questions? Otherwise, I'm going to close it out. Appreciate all your time as you sat on with me for an extra 6 minutes. And please look at the rest of our sessions coming up. We'd love to see you there. Have a good day, everyone.
Thank you for a wonderful presentation.